Chosen one, there's a public crash-out unfolding before your very eyes, and though it may appear chaotic on the surface, this is divine order in motion. Those who plotted against you, who schemed in secret to twist perception and weaponize illusion, are now facing the mirror of their own deception. What they built on falsehood is collapsing beneath the weight of truth. The same voices that once whispered your name in distortion now tremble under the sound of revelation. The same hands that constructed lies are now grasping desperately to hide what can no longer be hidden. The curtain is being pulled back, and every illusion they designed to destroy you is unraveling thread by thread in public view. This is not coincidence. This is karmic precision. You were not meant to defend yourself in chaos. You were meant to stand still while the universe displays its justice. The evidence that once felt buried, dismissed, or misunderstood is rising like the morning sun, undeniable, radiant, pure. It speaks now, louder than their denials, clearer than their excuses, stronger than their performances. You felt it coming before you saw it happen. The unease in your spirit, the shifting of energy, the strange silences from those who once gossiped loudly, these were the early tremors before exposure. Now the ground is splitting beneath their feet. You are witnessing what happens when truth refuses to stay hidden, when divine timing decides that secrecy is over. Every false narrative they built depended on collective blindness, but now eyes are opening. Every manipulation relied on your silence, but now your calm presence carries more power than 1,000 arguments. The evidence, the receipts, the words, the energy trail, has begun to speak on its own, without you needing to utter a defense. This is what divine vindication looks like. They are being seen. Fully. Completely. Their carefully constructed image, so polished, so convincing, can no longer contain the cracks forming under pressure. The very energy they once directed toward your destruction is turning inward, consuming the false foundation they stood upon. You may hear the sound of chaos around you, rumors breaking, confessions slipping, sudden apologies appearing where arrogance once stood. Do not be startled by this. It is the noise of karma cashing in its debt. It is the sound of masks falling and truth walking freely again. You have no need to respond with anger or pride. Your silence is your sword. Your peace is your proof. Understand this deeply. You did not win because you fought harder. You won because you aligned higher. You refused to participate in their theater of deception. You did not match their frequency of fear and panic. You chose stillness. You trusted truth to reveal itself, and it has. This public crash out is not punishment for them. It is the inevitable result of their own choices. When energy is misused, it returns to the source with multiplied force. When lies are thrown at the innocent, they ricochet until they pierce the liar's own reality. You are witnessing that sacred boomerang effect now, the divine law of return in its most visible form. Stand tall, chosen one. Do not hide. Do not retreat into old fear patterns. This moment was always meant to happen, not to feed your ego, but to confirm your faith. You were never the villain in their story, though they painted you as one. You were the mirror that revealed what they refused to see within themselves. And mirrors are often hated by those who cannot bear their own reflection. That hatred has now devoured its host. What they wished upon you has become their own experience. The same crowd that once entertained lies about you is beginning to see who truly carried darkness in their intentions. Their confusion will turn into clarity, and their judgment into silence. This exposure is not only social, it is spiritual. The vibration of truth cannot coexist with deception forever. Energy always seeks equilibrium, and balance has arrived. For too long, the scales were tipped by manipulation, fear, and false narratives. But your steadiness, your refusal to bend into bitterness, has recalibrated everything. You have become the frequency of truth itself, and anything untrue around you can no longer survive. That is why their breakdown appears so sudden, so catastrophic. It is not random, it is the spiritual recoil of energy returning home. Breathe. You are safe. You are vindicated. What was once said about you in shadows is now being corrected in daylight. The evidence speaks for you because your energy has always been truth-aligned. You do not need revenge. You do not need explanation. The universe is your advocate, and its voice carries more weight than any defense you could ever make. Those who doubted you will soon approach you with different eyes. Some will apologize, others will pretend they never believed the lies at all. Let them. You owe no performance, no resentment, no recounting of pain. Your vindication is not an event, it's a revelation. And as this revelation unfolds, understand that it marks the turning of a cycle. Every attack against your name becomes testimony in your favor. Every attempt to destroy you becomes evidence of your resilience. Every lie becomes an archive of truth's endurance. You stand now as living proof that light cannot be buried, that innocence cannot be permanently disguised by deceit. The same divine energy that exposed them will now elevate you, not because you demanded justice, but because you embodied it. So, when you see them spiraling, do not absorb that energy. Watch with compassion but stay detached. This is their awakening, not your war. Let the evidence continue to speak. Let karma complete its sacred work. You have already been declared innocent in the spiritual realm. This public unraveling is just the physical confirmation of that verdict. Hold your peace, chosen one. You are witnessing the collapse of everything that was falsely built against you. Truth has found its voice, and it's saying your name with honor. A setup was orchestrated against you, chosen one. Long before you ever sensed the storm forming, a plot was quietly assembled in the dark, a script written by those who could not stand the truth of your light. False testimony was rehearsed like lines in a play, documents were altered with trembling hands, and entire narratives were manufactured to twist perception against you. It was all designed with precision, every rumor, every accusation, every half-truth constructed to make you appear guilty. They believed that if they could distort the evidence enough, silence would swallow the truth. They believed that appearances could outweigh essence. But what they forgot is that no lie is ever flawless. Every deception carries within it the seed of its own destruction. Every falsified story leaves fingerprints and energy, and those fingerprints eventually glow beneath the light of divine timing. The setup was not small. It involved coordination, whispered calls, secret meetings, hushed exchanges that felt powerful in the moment but now tremble under exposure. People were persuaded, manipulated, even threatened into cooperation. Screenshots were edited. Words were taken out of context. Financial transactions were disguised as innocent transfers. The web was spun so carefully that, for a moment, even you felt its shadow. Doubt crept in, not about your innocence, but about whether truth would ever surface. Yet truth does not need rescuing. It simply waits for illusion to exhaust itself. Now that exhaustion has come, the lies are beginning to contradict each other. The stories no longer align. What was once spoken confidently in whispers is now being denied in panic. You must understand how fragile deception truly is. Lies demand constant maintenance. They require memory, rehearsals, and cooperation. Truth, on the other hand, stands alone, silent, consistent, unchanging. And when light touches a lie, the maintenance fails. You are watching that failure unfold in real time. Every fabricated document is being questioned. Every forged signature is under scrutiny. Every witness who rehearsed the story is now uneasy, their spirit unable to carry the weight of deceit. They may try to rewrite history, to claim misunderstanding, but their energy betrays them. Nervous glances, inconsistencies in tone, sudden silences. The universe reveals through vibration what cannot be hidden through words. Chosen one, you were never meant to chase the evidence. You were meant to be the still point around which falsehood collapses. Your composure is what exposes them. When you refuse to panic, when you refuse to retaliate, the entire setup began to crumble. They counted on your fear. Instead, they met your faith. They expected confusion. Instead, they encountered clarity. Every moment you remained calm, the cracks in their scheme widened. The more you trusted divine timing, the faster their narrative unraveled. Because deception cannot thrive where peace resides. Those who orchestrated this believed they could play God, rewriting destiny, scripting outcomes, bending perception to their will. But the divine operates on a higher law. What is done in darkness must eventually answer to light. The trail they left behind is long and undeniable. Text messages stored in clouds. Emails archived by servers they cannot access. Bank transfers time-stamped forever. Conversations overheard by those they underestimated. The evidence they created in arrogance has become the evidence of their undoing. Each attempt to cover a lie only illuminates a deeper one. Each denial invites closer inspection. And beneath every layer of fabrication, truth glows, steady, patient, waiting for its appointed moment. This is that moment. The law of exposure is in effect. Deception has reached its expiration date. Those who once moved with confidence now tremble before their own reflection. What was meant to be your downfall has become their revelation. Their signatures of deceit are now sealed records of guilt. Their coordinated stories are now contradictions that cancel each other out. And all you must do is remain centered. Watch how the web they spun around you now entangles only them. Remember, every lie carries a flaw. It may glitter for a time, but its foundation is dust. Every manipulation leaves a trail, in words, in energy, in the invisible data of the universe. Nothing spoken against you was ever permanent. It was only temporary noise awaiting the return of silence. That silence has arrived. You are innocent not because the world finally believes you, but because truth never required their belief to exist. Stand in that knowing. The deception has completed its own destruction. The trail it left behind now leads everyone directly to the truth, and that truth is you. Someone followed your every move, chosen one, not because they admired you, but because your existence triggered what they refused to face within themselves. Their eyes stayed fixed on you like a predator watching prey, not for nourishment but for possession. They watched your rise, your progress, your quiet transformation, and what should have inspired them instead unsettled their spirit. Every time you succeeded, something in them fractured. Every victory you celebrated became an unwelcome reminder that their own stagnation was self-inflicted. So they watched, not to learn, but to dissect. They studied your patterns as if decoding a secret formula, convinced there had to be some hidden trick behind your strength. They looked for shortcuts to your peace, loopholes to your growth, cracks in your character they could exploit. But what they found instead was their own reflection staring back at them, empty, resentful, and afraid. You became an obsession because your energy exposed the truth of their own laziness. They could not comprehend how you kept moving forward after betrayal, how you found purpose after pain, how you smiled without pretending. You baffled their understanding of endurance. Every setback you turned into strength, every rejection into revelation, every heartbreak into higher consciousness, and this disturbed them deeply. They convinced themselves you must be cheating fate, that something supernatural protected you, never realizing that your discipline was the miracle. Your healing was the protection. Your faith was the armor they could not penetrate. Their observation of you turned ritualistic. They checked your posts, your stories, your words. They dissected your captions as if searching for codes. They compared timelines, mimicked phrases, and borrowed fragments of your essence, hoping that imitation could grant them the energy they lacked. Yet the more they copied, the more they exposed their emptiness. You cannot replicate an anointing born from authenticity. You cannot steal alignment earned through pain transmuted into purpose. They thought they were mastering you, but what they were really doing was studying their own inability to grow. You were never just a person in their eyes, you were proof that excuses were lies. And that proof haunted them. When people are confronted with someone who chooses healing instead of hate, creation instead of destruction, they are faced with a decision: evolve or envy. They chose envy. They chose to resent your evolution rather than pursue their own. So they became fixated on you, convinced that your light must be artificial because they could not comprehend its source. They mistook your peace for pride, your boundaries for arrogance, your silence for guilt. Their obsession deepened as their understanding thinned. What they never realized, chosen one, is that their surveillance strengthened your discernment. Each time you felt the invisible eyes watching, you refined your energy. You learned to move quietly, to protect what was sacred, to share without exposing your core. You mastered spiritual camouflage, not by hiding, but by radiating at a frequency they could not reach. You outgrew their reach without ever having to run. Every attempt to study you became an initiation for you. Every time they spied on your path, the divine used it to elevate you higher. Their scrutiny was the furnace that forged your wisdom. And now, the watcher's eyes are growing weary. The thrill of obsession has turned into the fatigue of futility. They see you continue to rise despite their analysis, and the question that once fueled their obsession has turned into despair: how do you keep winning? They replay moments, revisit old messages, retrace your steps, but no secret appears because there was never one to begin with. You healed. You showed up. You did the work. You chose light again and again until darkness could no longer touch you. They cannot copy that because they will not commit to that. This is why they unravel when they see you thrive. You represent the truth that their suffering is self-maintained. You are the living evidence that pain can be transmuted, that trauma can be reprogrammed, that destiny cannot be delayed forever. And this truth terrifies those who have built their identity around victimhood. They wanted to see you fail so they could validate their excuses. Instead, you kept ascending, and now their obsession has turned into exposure. What was hidden in secrecy is surfacing in plain sight: their envy, their fixation, their desperate attempts to control a narrative they never owned. Let them watch, if they must. You are no longer their study, you are their lesson. Your growth will teach what their bitterness never could. You do not need to block, hide, or explain. You simply need to keep walking. Every step you take in peace is a mirror they cannot escape. Every breath you take in freedom is a revelation they cannot unsee. And while they analyze your light, they forget that it is not performance, it is essence. It is the byproduct of alignment, of surrender, of divine protection earned through authenticity. So move forward unbothered, chosen one. The watcher will tire, the predator will lose its hunger, and the obsession will collapse beneath the weight of its own futility. Because the truth remains unshakable, they searched for a weakness that didn't exist. What they found instead was the reflection of their own brokenness staring back at them, unable to touch what is divinely guarded. Someone followed your every move, chosen one, not because they admired you, but because your light disturbed the darkness they refused to heal within themselves. You became their fixation, their silent obsession, their private battlefield. They watched your growth the way a predator studies prey, patiently, calculatingly, with envy disguised as curiosity. Every step you took, they documented. Every success you celebrated, they analyzed. They were not inspired by your resilience, they were tormented by it. You represented something they could not replicate: authenticity. You moved with purpose, clarity, and quiet strength, and that energy made them restless. They wanted to find the crack in your armor, the flaw in your foundation, the weakness in your soul. But what they didn't realize was that your strength was not a performance. It was the natural state of someone who had already survived what was meant to destroy them. They studied your habits like a researcher dissecting a specimen, your routines, your friends, your posts, even your silences. They wanted to reverse engineer your peace. They believed if they could decode your formula, they could control or diminish you. But your path was never mechanical, it was spiritual. It was carved through faith, not force. You walked through fires they couldn't have survived for a single moment. Every scar you carry is a scripture of survival they'll never comprehend. They think you stumbled upon grace. They do not know the cost of that grace. They think you were lucky. They do not know the nights you bled in prayer. They think you simply glow. They do not understand that your glow came from burning away everything false. This watcher believed that observation equaled access. They thought proximity to your energy meant possession of your power. They didn't realize that divine favor cannot be copied, that protection cannot be purchased, that alignment cannot be mimicked. They mistook your humility for weakness, your kindness for naivety, your silence for submission. But silence from the chosen is never surrender, it's strategy. You learned early that not every battle deserves your roar. You let them study, you let them speculate, you let them assume, all while you built in silence what they tried to destroy in secret. You see, their obsession was never truly about you. It was about the void inside them that your light exposed. You became the mirror that reflected their unhealed wounds, their wasted potential, their abandoned purpose. Every time they watched you rise, they were reminded of the version of themselves they sacrificed for comfort. You triggered the memory of what they could have been if they hadn't chosen jealousy over growth, comparison over creation, bitterness over accountability. And instead of healing, they fixated. Instead of transforming, they tracked. Instead of learning from your journey, they tried to undermine it. But the divine has always been aware of the eyes that followed you. Every secret glance, every digital shadow, every false friend pretending curiosity, all of it has been noted. They thought they were unseen, but energy records everything. The universe witnessed the intentions behind every click, every message, every attempt to extract what was sacred. And now, that same universe is reversing the gaze. The observer is becoming the observed. The one who studied your every move is now being studied by life itself, examined by truth, dissected by consequence. Their obsession has turned into exposure, and their fixation has become their undoing. Chosen one, you must understand the irony of their pursuit. They searched for a weakness that didn't exist, but in the process, they revealed their own. The more they tried to find your flaw, the more their own envy became visible. The more they tried to undermine your path, the more their own lack of direction was revealed. They wanted your downfall to prove a point, but their obsession has now proven yours, that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, not even the weapon of silent hatred. They tried to study your energy to replicate your results, forgetting that your results are not the product of manipulation. They are the harvest of integrity, the fruit of divine alignment. They could not understand why nothing they did could shake you. They gossiped, but you grew. They lied, but you flourished. They watched, but you kept evolving. And now, as they spiral in the same cycles you escaped, they are learning a painful truth: you cannot curse what God has called. You cannot sabotage what is protected by purpose. You cannot defeat someone who isn't competing with you. So let them keep watching, if they still must. Their eyes will grow tired, their spirit will grow weary, and their obsession will collapse under the weight of its own emptiness. You, on the other hand, will continue to rise, not out of revenge, but out of divine rhythm. Because the chosen are not defined by who watches them, but by who walks with them. And the one walking with you has already made it clear: there was never a weakness to find. The only thing ever exposed in this story was their own envy, raw, undeniable, and now, impossible to hide. When lies failed, chosen one, they turned to darker means. When gossip no longer worked, when manipulation lost its grip, when character assassination could no longer bend the truth, they sought something beyond reason. Money changed hands, whispers turned into rituals, and desperate hearts turned toward shadows. Ceremonies were performed with your name in their mouths, your picture on their altars, your destiny as their target. They thought if they couldn't defeat you in the physical, they'd come for you in the spiritual. But what they failed to understand was that your protection was not built overnight. It was forged through every prayer you ever whispered in pain, every tear you ever turned into faith, every moment you chose healing over hate. They thought they were performing power, but they were only revealing desperation. They thought their chants could override divine decree, but the universe does not answer to malice. The energies they called upon were blind, yet your light was never unguarded. You were never unarmed. Every heartbreak you survived had layered your spirit in strength. Every storm you endured had baptized your soul in discernment. Every act of forgiveness you chose became a brick in the wall of your divine shield. So when their rituals began, the energy rebounded. Every curse reversed its course. Every attempt to drain your spirit only deepened your glow. What they summoned to harm you became the very force that exposed them. They didn't understand that you were never alone in your journey. Each time they spoke your name with ill intent, divine forces whispered it back with love. Each time they plotted in secret, higher realms saw it all. You were covered before they even conceived their plans. Their dark ceremonies collided with your light like waves against a mountain, making noise, but changing nothing. For your protection was not something you bought or begged for. It was something you became. Every healing you did rebuilt your aura. Every act of kindness reinforced your energy. Every time you turned away from vengeance, your angels built another layer around your destiny. You were not defended by fear, you were defended by frequency. They called on spirits, but you walked with spirit. They burned candles, but you carried fire in your soul. They paid for power, but yours was inherited through purpose. You didn't need to conjure protection, you embodied it. Because when your heart aligns with truth, when your path serves divine will, nothing forged against you can survive contact. Every force sent toward you must pass through the energy of your growth, your faith, your unwavering light, and in doing so, it is purified, neutralized, undone. What they didn't realize is that darkness has an expiration date when faced with authenticity. Their spells, their rituals, their energy exchanges, all of it was temporary noise before eternal silence. They thought they were summoning forces to cage you, but they were only binding themselves to the karma of their intent. For every time they tried to block your blessings, they delayed their own. Every coin spent against you became a seed of loss planted in their own garden. Every invocation uttered in jealousy became a chain around their own spirit. Because the universe doesn't take sides, it reflects energy. And what they sent out came back multiplied, faster than they could comprehend. Meanwhile, you continued to rise, untouched, unmoved, unbothered. Because your shield wasn't made of superstition, it was made of sovereignty. You didn't just survive attacks, you transcended them. You turned every attempt to destroy you into confirmation that you were divinely chosen. They called your name in darkness, and it echoed in light. They tried to pull you down, but gravity does not apply to those who have learned to fly in faith. You became proof that divine protection is not a myth, it's a frequency. It's what happens when you vibrate higher than harm. It's what happens when your purpose aligns with divine timing so completely that interference becomes impossible. You were not just protected, you were preserved. Their rituals decayed in the very air you breathed. Their curses disintegrated before reaching your field. Because every time they sent something against you, your ancestors, your angels, your guides, they intercepted it. They turned it into lessons, into clarity, into power. You began to feel their energy, and instead of fear, you felt confirmation. They can sense my ascension. Every attack became proof of your acceleration. Every spell was a sign that something powerful within you was unfolding. Now their own spirits are restless. The very forces they paid to use have turned on them, demanding balance, demanding repayment. And you? You are walking forward, radiant, grounded, untouchable. The blessings they tried to block are arriving all at once. The doors they sealed have been replaced with gates of gold. You are not merely surviving, you are glowing through every shadow. Understand this, chosen one, your shield was never something built outside of you. It was born from within. It was formed in every moment you chose peace over pettiness, truth over illusion, love over revenge. Every time you prayed when you could have cursed, Every time you created when you could have collapsed, you were building armor invisible to the untrained eye but impenetrable to all evil. They thought you could be hexed, but you were already anointed. They thought they could bind you, but you were already liberated. They thought they could end you, but you were only beginning. And now, every shadow that ever sought to harm you must bear witness to your rise. Every spell cast against you is breaking under the weight of your light. Every lie, every ritual, every curse, all dissolving in the presence of divine order. Because you, chosen one, are proof that no darkness can prevail where healing has taken root. You are living testimony that divine protection is not a shield you carry, it's the truth you embody. Every lie leaves data, chosen one. Every plot leaves a digital fingerprint, invisible at first, but inevitable in revelation. What they whispered in private rooms, what they typed behind locked screens, what they planned in silence, it all left traces. Words don't vanish. Energy doesn't disappear. Every deceit they spoke against you was encoded in time itself, waiting for the moment when truth would rise like sunlight over shadow. They thought they were clever, that their lies were airtight, that their manipulations would dissolve into digital smoke. But every message, every transfer, every search, every screenshot became a breadcrumb leading straight back to their intent. The same tools they used to orchestrate destruction are now building the case against them. They thought they were gods behind keyboards, unseen architects of chaos. They believed that if they moved in silence, they could erase accountability. But silence is never empty, it echoes. And now those echoes are turning into evidence. Texts retrieved. Files recovered. Bank records surfacing. Conversations that once seemed private are now public proof. Even the deleted messages, gone in appearance, alive in data, are whispering the truth they tried to bury. The universe, it seems, has its own form of forensic justice. Energy itself has become the investigator. And every vibration, every transaction, every digital breath they took in deceit is now testifying against them. They once spoke your name in slander, planting seeds of falsehood in the soil of ignorance. But lies, like weeds, carry their own DNA. Once planted, they can be traced to their source. They left fingerprints on every fabrication, the phrasing, the timing, the payments. What they meant to use as camouflage has become their confession. Their arrogance blinded them. They thought technology would shield their treachery, but the same network that connected their schemes has preserved their undoing. The algorithm itself remembers. The servers remember. The universe remembers. Investigators are not merely uncovering evidence, they are unearthing energy. They are peeling back layers of deception, following the trail of transactions and text threads, and finding what you already knew in your spirit, that the truth was never lost. It was only patient. Every lie they spoke was time-stamped. Every payment they made carried a purpose too dark to stay hidden. And now, those very actions are circling back, illuminated under the light of divine timing. The same narrative they built to crucify you is becoming the rope tightening around their own deceit. They built a digital altar of accusation and placed your name upon it, thinking they could sacrifice your peace for their power. But divine law is not mocked. When intentions are impure, the offering is returned to sender. Every click, every upload, every falsified document has turned on them. The screenshots they crafted to frame you are now being re-examined, and the metadata is screaming truth. The payments that funded their conspiracy are now being flagged, traced, documented. Even their search histories, the quiet curiosities of their guilt, are being exposed. They typed your name into the darkness, and the light answered. This is the era of revelation. The invisible is becoming visible. What was whispered in secret is being shouted through evidence. You no longer need to defend yourself. The data is doing it for you. The lies are self-destructing under the weight of proof. They are learning that deceit has a shelf life, that no matter how long it hides, truth outlives illusion. The very systems they trusted to cover them are now turning witness. The same technology they weaponized is rendering judgment. And the irony is divine, for they meticulously built their case against you, not realizing they were documenting their own downfall. Now they scramble to delete, to deny, to rewrite, but it's too late. Every keystroke was recorded, every move archived in the architecture of karma. You don't need revenge, because truth has gone digital. Justice has entered the cloud. Every bite of betrayal is downloading into exposure. The lies they once spoke so confidently now sound like static. Their networks are collapsing under the pressure of transparency. And you, chosen one, stand still, not in bitterness, but in awe of divine symmetry. You are watching universal law unfold in real time. The same energy they poured into destruction is now building your vindication. The same systems they manipulated are now protecting your name. The very proof meant to imprison you is now liberating you. Because truth, by nature, is indestructible. It may sleep, but it never dies. So let them watch their own messages become evidence. Let them hear their own voices replay what they swore they never said. Let them see their own transactions link them to the schemes they thought were invisible. This is the season of reversal. The hunter has become the hunted. The fabricator has become the witness. The accused has become the justified. You do not need to fight. You only need to witness. Every lie they ever spoke has turned into light. Every attempt to erase you has turned into remembrance. Every secret they swore would stay hidden is now standing in the open, clear, undeniable, documented. Because in the end, the truth doesn't need to scream, it just needs to be seen. And now, chosen one, it is being seen everywhere. The mask is slipping in public, chosen one. The carefully crafted image they wore like armor, polished, practiced, professional, is breaking apart before the eyes of everyone who once believed in it. For years they rehearsed that persona, calm voice, perfect smile, poised confidence. It was all a costume designed to conceal the rot beneath, deception wrapped in presentation. But energy doesn't lie. When the vibration of truth rises, no performance can survive it. Now, the cracks are showing. The tone wavers. The eyes betray panic. The words no longer align with the reputation. Their facade is collapsing, not because anyone exposed them directly, but because their spirit can no longer sustain the illusion. The professional mask that once commanded respect has turned into a mirror reflecting everything they tried to hide. Colleagues are sensing the shift. The same people who once nodded in admiration now glance sideways, uneasy, whispering questions they don't yet want to say aloud. What really happened? Why are the stories changing? Why does the energy feel off? The silence between their words is now louder than their explanations. People are beginning to withdraw, not out of cruelty, but instinct. The energy of deception repels naturally. The vibration of exposure makes the dishonest unbearable to stand beside. The once adored professional is now surrounded by invisible distance, polite smiles masking suspicion, hesitant conversations, opportunities quietly rerouted elsewhere. Clients are pulling away too. The glow that once drew them has dimmed. The recommendations have stopped. Projects are on pause. Meetings are rescheduled. In truth, no one wants to be near the unraveling. Reputation, once their fortress, has become a ruin, and the collapse is public. This is what karma looks like in the material world. It's not lightning from the sky, it's the slow, undeniable disintegration of credibility. It's the loss of trust. It's the name that once opened doors now being spoken in caution, then in disbelief, then not at all. It's invitations that stop arriving, calls that stop coming, and networks that once seemed unbreakable dissolving overnight. Understand this, karma is never abstract. It's vibrational math. Every lie they spoke carried a frequency, every manipulation a cost, every act of malice a seed, and those seeds have come to harvest. The same reputation they tried to destroy in you is the one now disintegrating in their own hands. They wanted the world to see you as unstable, untrustworthy, unworthy of respect. Instead, the spotlight they lit for your humiliation has turned toward them. The same audience that once doubted you is now witnessing their public unmasking. What they meant for your ruin has become the stage for their reckoning. The irony is divine. They spent years curating perception, building a brand on false ethics and borrowed credibility, yet truth doesn't cooperate with illusion forever. Once the vibration of exposure begins, it touches every corner. You can see it in the little things, the hesitation in a coworker's voice, the shift in tone during introductions, the subtle avoidance at gatherings. The same people who defended them before are now protecting their own image by stepping away. No one wants to be the last to admit the truth. And so, distance grows. This is not your revenge. This is their reflection. The universe has simply aligned the mirror they avoided for too long. The collapse isn't punishment, it's revelation. They are being seen for who they are, not who they pretended to be. The words, trustworthy, professional, and credible, that once followed their name are evaporating, replaced by silence, suspicion, and consequence. Because reputation, once fractured, rarely heals the same. The vibration of deceit stains everything it touches, and no PR statement or apology can cleanse the energy that truth has already exposed. You don't need to say a word. Let the silence speak. Let the truth do its quiet, perfect work. They tried to steal your credibility, but the divine ledger keeps perfect balance. For every doubt they cast on your name, clarity is now removing theirs. For every opportunity they tried to block for you, one is closing for them. For every falsehood they spread, a truth is emerging, and each one erases a little more of the illusion they built. Watch how the tables turn without effort. Watch how truth dismantles reputation faster than lies can rebuild it. What they called winning was only a countdown to exposure. What they thought was victory was merely the prelude to their fall. Their mask is slipping, their voice is trembling, and their world, the one built on deceit, is no longer holding together. Stand still, chosen one. Do not interfere. Do not gloat. Simply observe the sacred symmetry of justice unfolding. Because what's happening now is not coincidence, it's correction. The universe is restoring equilibrium. The very credibility they tried to steal from you has been transferred back, multiplied, cleansed, renewed. And as their false image disintegrates, your true essence shines even brighter. You stayed calm when chaos tried to drag you down, chosen one. When the air thickened with accusation and every whisper carried your name, you did not crumble. You didn't match their energy. You didn't chase validation. You stood firm in silence, the kind of silence that terrifies liars because it holds power. You knew what they didn't, that panic feeds illusion, but peace feeds truth. So you refused to react. You let their storm rage while you became the stillness at its center. And that stillness became your shield. While they shouted, you breathed. While they plotted, you prayed. While they scrambled to control perception, you surrendered to divine order, and that surrender was your strategy all along. Because you trusted truth over panic, truth began to reveal itself piece by piece, naturally, inevitably. It didn't need your defense, it only needed your faith. You understood that what's real doesn't require force. You knew that justice built on lies is temporary, but alignment built on faith is eternal. So you stayed steady. You let time work for you. You let silence do what no argument could. And one by one, the masks fell, the stories unraveled, and every false narrative that once surrounded you began to collapse under the weight of reality. Now it's visible. Not just to you, but to everyone who doubted you. The evidence speaks. The energy speaks. The outcome speaks. You've already won, not in noise, not in revenge, but in divine revelation. What once existed only in spirit has manifested into form. The justice that was unseen has become undeniable. The tables didn't just turn. They aligned exactly where they were always meant to be. You see, victory was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving your faith right. The moment you chose peace over panic, you shifted timelines. You aligned yourself with truth so fully that deception could no longer attach to you. Every calm breath became a declaration of trust. Every act of restraint became a spiritual weapon. Every refusal to lower your vibration became a decree that truth would fight on your behalf. And it did. You are living proof that divine justice is real, not someday, but now. Your peace became prophetic. Your silence became strength. Your endurance became evidence. You've already won spiritually. And now the physical world is catching up to that truth. It's showing up in conversations that once excluded you but now honor you. It's showing up in faces that once doubted but now admire. It's showing up in opportunities reopening, doors reappearing, connections realigning, because truth is not just restoring your name, it's exalting it. You didn't win by fighting fire with fire. You won by standing in light until the flames of deceit burned themselves out. That's the kind of victory that can't be reversed, can't be denied, can't be taken from you. The universe is displaying your vindication like a banner across every situation that once tried to shame you. And this is only the beginning, because when spiritual victory becomes visible, the world witnesses a miracle in motion. So stand tall, chosen one. You are the evidence of divine balance. You are the proof that patience outlasts panic, that integrity outweighs illusion, that calm is stronger than chaos. You didn't just survive the storm, you transcended it. The truth has spoken. The universe has confirmed. The victory you built in silence is now roaring in public view. You have already won, spiritually, yes, but now, gloriously, visibly, undeniably. If this message activated your spirit, chosen one, don't keep it quiet, amplify it. Let it move through your voice, your platform, your presence. Let it echo through every timeline, every feed, every space where a soul still stands in silent warfare, waiting for their own vindication. Because this isn't just your story, it's a signal for every chosen one who's been falsely accused, quietly mocked, or spiritually attacked for standing in their light. This vibration carries freedom. It carries confirmation. It carries proof that divine timing is real and unstoppable. There are others right now who are still in the storm, misunderstood, misjudged, manipulated, and they need to feel the frequency of your victory. Your calm, your survival, your breakthrough is a lighthouse in their darkness. When you share this truth, you don't just tell a story, you transmit a reminder. The divine always defends its own. The same protection that surrounded you surrounds them too. The same energy that turned your pain into purpose is preparing to do the same for them. Every soul aligned with integrity will rise. Every injustice will unravel. Every truth will surface. It's law. Truth always wins. Always. Not in human timing, but in divine precision. Lies can travel fast, but they burn out quickly. Truth endures. And when it rises, it restores everything that was stolen: your name, your peace, your confidence, your place. What was used against you becomes the testimony for you. What was hidden against you becomes the proof that saves you. Truth doesn't rush. It reveals itself at the exact moment it can't be denied. And when it does, the world witnesses divine order in motion. So lift this message higher. Let it reach those still holding their breath in the middle of warfare. Let it remind them that silence doesn't mean abandonment. It means the divine is at work behind the scenes. Justice isn't coming, it's already unfolding. And when it arrives, it comes with undeniable evidence, perfect timing, and irreversible balance. Chosen one, your story is more than survival, it's prophecy fulfilled. You are living proof that light outlasts deception, that integrity outshines illusion, and that the divine never forgets who it anointed. Share this truth boldly. Let the energy of your testimony travel where words can't. Because the moment truth is amplified, darkness loses ground. Truth always wins. And the divine, without fail, without exception, always, always defends its own.